And moving on, a delegation from Bahrain, the first since the opening of the Israeli embassy in the kingdom just last week, is here touring in Israel. The diverse delegation consists of figures in the education, sports, cultural, business, and social arenas. And joining us now with the delegation is ILTV's Asaf Nissan with more details. Asaf, so you are touring with the delegation today. Where are you? Where are they today?
Well, currently now we're just finishing here up north in the beautiful village of Rame, right above Carmiel. We're just finishing our lunch. The delegation is here for the past 2 days. They've been in Jerusalem. They've been seeing the country around. They're still going to be here throughout the weekend. We're pretty much touring different places and different sites, meeting extraordinary people, including one of the doctors that won the Israel Award for medicine for the past year.
Great. And where else has the delegation visited? You mentioned that you were touring all around Israel. I understand in Jerusalem as well?
Indeed, in Jerusalem, in the holy city itself, in the Western Wall, and also being the first delegation that actually visited Yad Vashem. So this, of course, being an extraordinary issue, we're talking about a delegation built of doctors, educationers, people of culture. It's very diverse, very interesting, and they've been taking to the city and taking to the country itself unbelievably.
And what is the purpose of the visit?
Well, the purpose itself officially is, of course, to straighten ties and develop cultural and educational connections now that Israel and Bahrain have normalized pretty much a relationship between them. But the more unofficial reason, and partially been talked about, is Iran, of course. We're talking a big security issue with the fact we're talking about the country that's neighboring to Iran and the of course, scare of Israel from Iran, the nervousness and the entire tensions. And we're seeing this as an issue, as this is an option for us to get closer with the neighbors of Iran and thus creating a better, more peaceful resolution and powerful alliance against the Iranian regime.
So you mentioned Iran, they're here on business, but they're also getting to sightsee, taking in a little bit of Israel and Israeli culture. I mean, what have you heard in their conversations with them? What is their impression of Israel?
So far from what we've seen, what we heard from the conversation, that they're very happy to be here. They're very excited. They even thank the Lord that they got the chance to daven in front of the Western Wall, one of the 5 prayers of Islam. They've been really cooperative and really happy to be here in Israel. And they're seeing the visits in the different places. They're seeing how the diversity in Israel works and how the country itself is open to all religions, no matter where you're from.
And have they shared with you any of the highlights or perhaps something that, surprised them about Israel, something they were not expecting?
Well, with me personally, not so far but from what I heard, there was a lot of surprise and interest around the whole issue of the Holocaust. The visit from Yad Vashem, of course, was a big headline to the fact that it's the first delegation, I think the first Bahraini delegation even to visit Yad Vashem ever since the Abraham Accord. So this is, of course, a big issue. And for them, I think learning about the Holocaust even more was a big, big thing for them.
And can you tell us a little bit about who organized the delegation? I understand it's an organization called Shaka. What exactly do they do?
The organization itself is called Sharaka. They're an NGO that is actually involved in ventures between Israel and the UAE now, thanks to the Abraham Accords. They've really been opening up the Israeli world, the Israeli country to those Arab countries, bringing influencers, people of high politics, bringing journalists, authors, whoever they can find that's really influencing, really interesting in the state of Israel. They bring them here in order to open into the Israeli experience and explain better what's going on here, especially the fact that always in the background there's the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which of course influenced many of the news and the world and the data they're receiving so far. So of course this is for them is a big change.
Sharaka. And where are they headed now? How much more time do they have on their trip?
So from talks I had with the organizers, I know they're going to be the entire weekend in Tel Aviv. And I'm not sure until when they're going to be here. Approximately, the estimation is Monday, Tuesday, more or less. They're here for a week. So if they did arrive 2 days ago, most likely they'll be going back Tuesday. But from what we know so far, they're still going to be touring the country the next few days. And the next stop, of course, is Tel Aviv for the weekend.
All right, Asaf Nissan, thanks for speaking with us today.
Thank you so much.